In this part of my documentary, I'm going to discuss stigmas. First off, what is a stigma? Well, when it comes to HIV/AIDS, in my opinion, it's a man-made mark of shame, a label. Names or beliefs aimed towards this group of people, in particular, in this case, to basically strike fear into the average person by getting them to automatically assume a belief of possibly being contaminated should one be approached by someone who is contaminated. In this case, we're talking about disease, like as if this thing is going to jump out and grab them. And there are actually quite a few people out there who do actually believe that. I'm sorry, people, to burst your bubble, but HIV isn't quite that contagious. Now, why do we have stigmas? Well, unfortunately, HIV infection is a life-threatening disease. Therefore, many people are going to react to it in strong ways. HIV infection is often is associated with behaviors such as prostitution, drug addiction, homosexuality, promiscuity, etc., 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 which are already stigmatized in many societies. Most people become infected with HIV through sex, which carries a lot of moral baggage. There is a lot of inaccurate information out there about how HIV is transmitted, creating irrational behaviors and misperceptions of personal risk. HIV infection is often seen the result of personal irresponsibility. Religious or moral beliefs lead some people to believe that HIV infection is the result of moral fault, such as promiscuity, and deserves to be punished. The fact that HIV/AIDS is a relatively new disease also contributes to the stigmas attached to it. The fear of the emerging epidemic of the 1980s is still very fresh in many people's minds. At that time, little was known about transmission, which scared people of those who were infected due to the fear of contagion. From early in the AIDS epidemic, a series of powerful images were used that reinforced and legitimized stigmatization. They are as follows: HIV/AIDS as punishment for immoral behavior, such as promiscuity. HIV/AIDS as war in relation to a virus that must be fought. HIV/AIDS as a crime in relation to innocent or guilty victims. HIV/AIDS as horror, in which those who were infected were demonized and feared, which still goes on to this day. And HIV/AIDS as otherness, in which the disease is an affliction of those set apart. Some of the stigmas that I've had to encounter are as follows. When I was healthy enough to work, and I was working at the time, if I got a little cut on me and I was bleeding, I've actually had people, believe it or not, jump back like this, as if there was some force field emanating from my blood or something, and pushing them back, which I actually got a real kick out of. I thought it was absolutely ridiculous, okay? Because, you know, like, the virus is already dead by the time it hit the air. And even if my blood touched your skin, unless it goes into an open cut, all right, you're not gonna get it from me. Okay. Another one was wanting to inform some of my family and friends about what I've had. Their communication just all of a sudden really reduced. And in terms of that, I'm comparing from before I was diagnosed positive to afterward. You know, you hear from them once a week or once every couple of weeks, to all of a sudden just once a month to once every couple of months. And the only difference was the fact that I told them that I'm HIV positive now and I'm living with this. One of the other stigmas that I've really encountered is the fact that this is HIV/AIDS. I often get a sense that there are some people are just waiting for you to die. They're expecting you to die, and they think that you're going to die real soon. Okay? So instead of trying to show some support and encouragement to help you to fight this, they're just letting you be and deal with it on your own. Well, guess what? I did. And you can too. There is nothing stopping you from doing it. But along the way, sooner or later, if you're HIV positive, you are going to come face to face with stigmas. And the best thing you can do is not let it get to you, and try to educate the people who are stigmatized by it about how this disease is transmitted. Unless you're having unprotected sex, unless you're sharing a needle, or you're drinking breast milk from an infected woman, which I don't think too many adults will be, your chances of risk are very little. Condoms do not give you absolute protection, but they greatly, greatly reduce your risk. There is nothing out there other than abstinence to completely cut your risk to a zero. But if you are HIV positive, like I said, you are going to come face to face with this sooner or later. Don't let it get to you. If you do, this thing will destroy you. And I have to admit, I've had a lot of troubles in my life, a lot of traumas. As you can see on my right eye, it's one of them I had to deal with for a long time. Well, I was able to overcome them. But I have to admit, HIV infection was very, very powerful, and it really did get to me. And it really put me down for probably a good 4 years before I pulled out of it. But I did. I had everybody backing off. Well, not quite everybody, most people backing off from me. But nonetheless, the rest came from me. I'm the one who had to live with this. I'm the one who had to deal with this. I'm the one who screwed up with my medications and developed full-blown AIDS, which that's the whole point of this whole documentary, is to teach you HIV positive people, in particular the ladies, is what I'm aimed at here. Take your medications, don't develop AIDS. And ladies, there are a lot of HIV positive men out there, okay? Not all of us are gay men, and some of us are looking for you, okay? You know, if you would just get off your iPods and get off your cell phones, you know, maybe you might meet somebody. You might like them, you might not. But at least you've gone from a 99.9% of rejection down to a 50-50. Either you're going to like him, or he's going to like you, or not. But nonetheless, when you do come face to face with these stigmas, as I've said in the previous video, don't forget to breathe, okay? Take things in stride. Don't let it get to you. And it probably will. But you gotta remember, it's because everybody is stigmatized by this, and it's absolutely pathetic. And I'm going to admit this, I was too. Before I became HIV positive, I would not even sit beside someone who was HIV positive if I knew they had it. I know it's ridiculous because I was uneducated, so when I found out about how this disease was transmitted, I started shaking my own head. I couldn't believe in my own beliefs. But it's because I was ignorant and I didn't educate myself. So, do the best you can. Take your medications. And ladies, alright? Don't let the stigma get to you. And there are a lot of guys, a lot of HIV positive guys out there who are looking for you. Like I said, one of the other stigmas is that a lot of people automatically assume that because I'm HIV positive, that I must be gay. Well, I'm sorry. I've been married twice. I've actually had 5 kids, 2 families, 3 with one, 2 with another. As you can see, I'm not part of that circle, okay? And, you know, so don't automatically assume that because someone has this disease that they're part of that circle too. Yes, vast majority of guys who are sick with this are, unfortunately, but not everybody is. All right, so that's another stigma that's also out there very strongly. Get over it, okay? I've had some comments even on my channel where a guy said the same thing. He said, you know, I must have got this from being gay, and no, I'm sorry to burst your bubble, but no. I mean, that's a stigma itself, everybody thinking that it's a gay disease. Back in the 80s, maybe vast majority of the time it was, but this is not the case anymore. It's spreading pretty fast. And another thing too, and to give you some little facts here, is when it comes to different diseases, and this goes for both Canada and the United States, when it comes to herpes, 1 in 10 people have that disease. 1 in 10. Here in Canada, when it comes to HIV infection, I think it's 1 in 492. Now, we're only a population of about 32 million people. Americans have got 10 times the amount of people we've got. So, still, okay? Hepatitis B, which I'm vaccinated for, both A and B, but still a lot of people aren't, is 1,000 times more contagious than HIV. So, here's a couple of facts for you. All right? Well, I hope this was educational for you. If you're HIV positive, take your meds. Ladies, take your meds. Don't develop full-blown AIDS. And get off your cell phones and your iPods. There are a lot of guys who are HIV positive who are looking for you, because the chances of rejection are 99.9 to the average person. But if we meet somebody who is HIV positive, you know what I mean, then it reduces our risk back to, or reduces our chances back down to 50-50. Well, I hope you learned something from this. It's the whole point of me making this documentary in the first place. And if you're HIV negative, I hope you really paid attention to the stigmas. I hope you really paid attention to what I just said, because you have very little to fear. Okay. And who knows? You could be having sex with a chick right now, and she's positive, and you don't even know it. And she may not even know it. But no matter what, you can't get this from kissing a girl. You can't get it from, you can make out with the chick, you can hug her, you can kiss her, you can touch her, unless you're bleeding from your hands, you can even touch her down there. You know, she's not going to get it. Unless you have unprotected sex, you know, or you're sharing needles, or drinking breast milk from her, if she's infected, if she's HIV positive, your risk is almost 0.